Back in 2015, my dad and I went on a camping trip. This is what we had always done as a part of our dad and daughter bonding time. I loved to fish with my dad, and we did go with a few other family friends, and my dad had a small trailer. Nothing fancy, but better than a tent. The first night, I woke up having my bladder screaming at me to be emptied. It was pitch black outside, my dad was fast asleep, and the whole campground was in its slumber. Sadly, there was no bathroom in my dad's trailer, so I had to go outside. I took with me a small flashlight and a big stick. I hopped outside, looked around, and it was dead quiet. You would think I would just walk right behind the trailer to do my business and return inside, right? Wrong. As a lady, knowing that this campground had one of those single bricked buildings with a toilet halfway down the dirt road from where I was standing, I thought I might as well go there. I got a bad vibe as if I sensed something nearby. I made it to the single one-door bathroom building, and I closed the door and locked it. As soon as I started my business, I heard something walking and sniffing by the door. The sound was creepy enough that I seriously was debating staying in the bathroom until daylight. However, if my dad woke up and realized I was gone, he might have come looking for me. Whatever was out there, I didn't want it to get my dad. Logically, I knew it was an animal, but what kind? I put on my bravery cap, so to speak, and carefully and quietly I opened up the door with my hand holding it out, with the other hand holding the big stick ready for something to jump out at me. I got completely out of the bathroom, still cautious and walking slow. That's until I heard a growl coming from behind me a few feet away. It was charging through the tall grass. I could only hear and guess that I was inches away from danger, not knowing what it was, but it was coming fast. My heart sunk and I bolted the opposite way, running at my fastest speed. I swear I couldn't even feel my feet touching the ground. I ran so fast, screaming the entire way with my shrieks echoing throughout the landscape. I got back to my dad's trailer, I dropped the stick and pushed my way in, slamming the door behind me. My dad woke up, got his rifle, and tried to open the door, and someone or something was pressed up against the door. He quickly shut it and locked it. That's my true story. I was traumatized so bad that I was scared of going outside at nighttime. I still am to this day. I was about 19 or 20 when this happened. My oldest sister and I were living together in our grandparents' house, and we had a pit bull at the time named Baby Girl. And she was really friendly and really well trained, and she knew all the sounds of our cars and could tell if anyone was good or bad. One Friday night, my sister had decided to go out with some of her friends, so that left me and Baby Girl home alone. It was about 10:30 p.m. when I got home from work, and I was starting to wind down when I started to feel like someone was in the house. I didn't think anything of it. About an hour or so later, I was laying in my bed with the lights out trying to get some rest, and Baby Girl was cuddled next to me when all of a sudden she got up and started to growl at my door. I always keep my door closed because I hate it when it's open. It just makes me feel vulnerable, I guess. I took a look towards it, and the knob was red like it was burning, and my door started to shake. Baby Girl went into full protective mode for about 5 minutes, just barking like crazy. All of a sudden, the door stopped and the knob wasn't glowing anymore, but I felt something dark and evil in the room. I turned on the light, but there was nothing there. I grabbed Baby Girl so that way I could hold something or someone because I was legitimately scared. I went to turn the light off, and right next to my bed was something so dark that black doesn't even describe it. I remember screaming and Baby Girl cowering and whining. I don't remember much after that, but my middle sister came over the next day and she brought her Bible, holy water, and rosary. She said that God had told her to come help me because a demon tried to take my soul. When she started to bless my room, we found a Ouija board. My older sister tampered with things like this, and I'm not big into church, but I refuse to have anything to do with Ouija boards. This incident just cemented it for me. This happened in Arkansas in 2015. Sometime over the summer, it was me, my mom, and my brother. We had met up with my friend's family to go crystal mining. We were staying in a sketchy hotel. Each family had a separate room, and everyone was in my friend's family room watching TV. My friend Avery and I were in my family's hotel room playing a game. I don't remember much of the game, but I do remember my Five Nights at Freddy Foxy plushie was in it. At one point, I started to get the feeling that we weren't the only people here. I kept brushing it off, and I kept saying that it was nothing and it was only my mind playing with me. At one point, I remember Avery sitting on one of the beds. Right between the beds was a tiny table. I had rested the Foxy plushie against the table where its head led onto the wall. I walked randomly into the bathroom looking for a pencil that I threw on accident, and I remember Avery calling me back. She claimed to have seen something. I told her ghosts aren't real. Suddenly, I felt as if my body was in the North Pole. Everything was cold for a moment, and I asked her if she felt cold. She shook her head. I walked over to my Foxy plush, and I was about to grab the thing when I saw it move. I kept telling myself that my brain was just tricking me. Until the plush flung itself at me, I felt it hit my leg. I had stumbled back onto the other bed, and with my own eyes, I watched this thing bounce in midair and set itself perfectly next to Avery as if someone had just placed it there. We both immediately ran screaming to our moms, who just laughed. Ever since that day, weird things are always happening at night in the house. In the beginning, the Foxy plush would just move around. Now, I feel like it's just their little game. I stay up late sometimes when working on big projects, and whenever I'm done, I turn all the lights off downstairs, and as soon as I'm about to walk up, all the lights turn back on. I often hear voices or the sound of heavy feet. I walked downstairs once, and something cold passed by me. On multiple occasions, I have woken up with red marks on my legs. And I'm not sure if it's true, but if cats can see ghosts, then my cat has seen it all. He's always looking at something, like he's following an invisible object. He attacks the air, and sometimes you can hear him growl. Even to this day, I'm not sure what it is. And all I hope is that whatever this thing is, it's not out for revenge. So, me, my mother, and father all live in a small neighborhood out in the countryside. It's relatively quiet and everything was great. We live in a nice home with relatively nice neighbors. Everything was amazing for the first few years of my life. But from the time that I was 10, I noticed something weird was going on. When I'd be home alone, there would be knocks at the door and no one being there. My dog Brownie would growl and bark at the wall of the hallway. I'd wake up with scratches and bruises all over me, and when I went to school, everyone would ask me where I got them from. I'd just respond with a simple, I don't know. This continued on for some months. Then, the one day I was walking down the road to go to my friend's house, and I noticed a black figure perched up in a tree. Me having a heavy imagination, I thought it was an owl of some sort. I stared at it for a while, and it didn't move, so I took a picture of it. After I showed it to my mom, she freaked out. She immediately started burning sage in the house. When I asked her what was in the picture, she responded with an attachment to our bloodline or something like that. I was 10 and I didn't really have a good attention span. A year later, she explained in more detail of what it was and what it looked like. She showed me this picture and explained that it was a shapeshifter. A few nights went by, and before I knew it, this was all normal. That was until I was about 11 or 12. I woke up to something banging as loud as it could on the wall. It scared the crap out of me. I was terrified, so I kept my eyes closed and away from whatever it was. The next thing I knew, I was being held down by this creature. I started feeling progressively more tired the longer it held me down, but strangely, it wasn't choking me. I managed to get my arm free and I grabbed my cross from the wall and I shoved it up close to the creature. It made a loud screeching noise and it jumped off of the bed. I looked at it from atop the bed and it seemed to be crying out in pain. That's when my parents woke up and it disappeared. I never saw it again after that, but it sure did shake me up. I will never forget that thing's cry for the rest of my life.